This is the Mazda 3 Sport Turbo, and it's your highest performing option on one of the most highly rated driving machines in its class. It's the first Mazda 3 with both turbocharged power and all-wheel drive, and in this video we'll focus on what the new powertrain brings to the winter driving experience, and I'll tell you one of the best reasons to spring for this punchy new engine choice, and it's probably not what you think.
Mazda will sell you a 3 in either sedan or hatchback configurations. The hatchback is called the 3 Sport, and the sedan is just called the 3. The new turbocharged engine option in my tester makes 3 engine choices on top of the 2 body styles. So choose sedan or hatch, choose an engine, choose automatic or manual, and choose 2 or 4-wheel drive. It's selection galore, and this 3 Sport GT Turbo lands around 36,000 Canadian dollars, with the $1,700 premium package making this tester the better part of about 38,000, coming up on double the price of a base model unit. For that, you get the new Skyactiv Turbo 2.5-liter with 227 horses and 310 pounds of torque, and that's on 87-octane regular-grade gas. Feed it premium, and it's 250 horses and 320 pounds of snap. The turbocharged power plant only comes with the 6-speed automatic and all-wheel drive combination, and my tester is on Michelin X-Ice winter tires, a personal favorite actually, and so all the driving you see here is demonstrated using proper footwear for the conditions.
I've been getting a lot of questions about this car, and I've actually been excited for quite some time to drive it. So in this video, I'll focus on answering the most common questions that I'm hearing, and also focus on giving you a good sense of what you can expect when driving this hot rod Mazda 3 in the snow.
So should you tick the box and say yes to the turbo engine? Well, that's a $2,400 investment, and it's up to you to decide if it's worth it. If this will be your first sporty car, remember that this engine will be thirstier than the non-turbo and may increase your insurance cost. Check the figures and do your homework before making the decision. If you're an enthusiast driver and you want performance that's more than just good enough, or maybe you're looking to replace a few-year-old Mazda 3 with something saucier, it's nearly a no-brainer. With about 70 more horsepower and an even bigger torque advantage over the non-turbo 2.5-liter unit, this engine sure is punchy. It's discreet too, just a larger set of pipes out back, and the little badge are all that gives it away. So how does it perform? Well, it's easiest to answer that question by giving you a sense of the character and personality of the 3 Sport GT in motion and while being worked a little. You notice a few things straight away, especially if you're test driving turbo and non-turbo versions of this engine back-to-back. The big one is the responsiveness in city driving, where the mountain of low-end torque not present in the non-turbo engine means this Skyactiv Turbo 4 gushes through city traffic on a wave of low-rev thrust. Less throttle and less revs mean less noise, but all while a thick and meaty slab of torque surges the car along, often without making much of a peep at all.
That increase in low-end torque also means that the transmission is shifting less of the time. With so much power so low in the rev range, it means that downshifting is almost always optional, and that smooths out the drive. That is, once you've retrained your right foot a little bit, with so much power so low in the revs, you've actually got to use a little bit of care and caution to get the car off the line smoothly, because it really wants to go.
Point is, if you like smooth power and quite a fair bit of it, this will do you just fine. Different performance engines entertain you in different ways. Some rev really fast, others make a really cool sound. Neither of those is the case for the 2.5-liter Skyactiv Turbo. It doesn't like a lot of revs, and I don't think it sounds anything special to listen to. But put your boot into it and you're shoved properly into your seat until you lift. Worked hard, this power plant is all about the torque, the snap, the shove. In all, a very smooth and well-behaved powertrain with a load of power in its back pocket that's never in your face, but also that's never hard to stir into action. And when the going gets slippery, well, you're the boss of the Mazda 3 Sport GT in the snow. Drive gently and with a light foot, and the all-wheel drive system extracts maximum traction from the road beneath with minimal drama, no fussing, and no driver input required. In the vast majority of driving you'll do in very bad conditions, the car notices when you're trying to be careful, and it responds accordingly. Even when taking off on really slippery or challenging surfaces, it's only ever just a moment of wheel spin before the system sees the car walk away from where it was, provided you're steady on the throttle. If you've got a bit more lead in your boots, you'll appreciate the way the all-wheel drive and traction systems respond. Under heavier throttle load in the standard drive mode, the systems permit plenty of off-the-line wheel spin to chuck snow from the treads of the tires and give the driver a satisfying rush off the line, sometimes a little sideways. Sport mode firms up the shifting and throttle response, but even with sport mode off and the traction control on, the car feels sporty and obedient, not like the electronics are stepping all over the driver's toes. If you know what you're doing, you can absolutely steer the 3 Sport GT around a winding winter roadway with the steering and throttle and brakes with no argument from the electronics. It's also important to note that going for the big engine with this car just gets you the big engine. The suspension, chassis, electronics, and other systems are virtually unchanged. That means if you're coming here from a non-turbo Mazda 3 from this generation, you'll probably feel right at home with how it steers and handles, which is to say sharper and more agile than the norm for a small car and delightfully eager in the hands of an enthusiast driver, even if it's not an all-out sports car. Is it worth the money? Well, a key reason to consider this machine is its premium look and feel. Outside, Mazda's styling language sees a distinctive curvaceousness and lack of cheap-looking unpainted plastic parts. Everything is finished nicely, even the finer details give you something nice to look at. And inside, well, if you compare this interior to similarly sporty versions of a Subaru WRX or Honda Civic, I think you'll see what I mean. The visuals can do the talking here. The interior is probably one of the 3's most valuable assets, and it left me feeling like I was sitting in an affordable luxury car, not a jazzed-up economy model. Really, and I'm not the first reviewer to say this, I think this car might be a perfect pick for someone leaning more towards a BMW or Lexus, but after more power and features for their money. I'd stack this interior up against a cheap luxury car interior any day of the week. I had 2 complaints that you might want to know about if you're considering one of these. First, ride comfort on rough roads may be an issue for some drivers. In some high-performing cars, ride comfort is traded for handling response. That's absolutely the case here. Sportier drivers will find the trade-off is worth it. Others may find this to be too harsh and noisy when they're on a badly maintained road surface. And this is a weird one, but really watch when you shift this car into gear while the engine is in high idle mode on a cold morning. If you release the brake pedal too quickly, you might find the car trying to leap out of your driveway. It's a good reminder to firmly pull the brakes until you want to get rolling, and a good reminder of how much this engine loves to go.